You know, if you've ever wondered what car you could buy that would just cause the whole world to constantly bombard you with comments on how unreliable it is, how slow it is, how inefficient it is, or what a money pit the car is, that they would never spend money on a car like that, it's the Mazda RX-8. And for some reason, it just seems to piss off the whole world to no extent. And I think it's kind of funny. So yes, you read the title correctly. It's been almost 2 whole years since I picked up this car. Now you might be thinking, holy shit, how did 2 years go by so fast? And trust me, I'm right there with you, bud. But I think it's more important to remember that almost 6 months or so of the car being in my hands, that the car was completely stock, and we didn't really start posting videos and stuff about the car until about 7 months into my ownership of it. I've learned quite a bit about these cars since then and what it's actually like to actually own one and not just, you know, taking everyone else's word on the internet who's never actually touched one of these things before. So I figured, why not sit down and talk about it a little bit, because I know there are quite a few of you out there who at some point have probably thought about picking one of these things up. And if it helps in any way at all, or if you're just looking for something to watch while you sit down and eat some grub, here we go. We got a video for you. I truly have enjoyed the car these last couple years, and in each stage that it's been, from stock to where it is now. It's been such an incredibly fun car to drive, and it's really unlike anything else I've ever owned before. Makes some cool noises, revving out to 9 grand is super fun, and honestly, one of my favorite parts is like people's reactions to when I open up the rear suicide doors. They're like, holy shit, I didn't know that did that. I didn't know those cars had 4 doors, and it's really neat. The car reliability-wise has been really great to me, honestly. I haven't really had any issues whatsoever besides blowing a tire on the highway, but you know, that's just due to some old stock tires. One of the key things that I kept in mind when looking for one of these cars was obviously trying to find one with the lowest mileage possible for obvious reasons. Rotary's mileage, kind of a weird thing, while still being in my price range. And believe it or not, that was a trickier task than originally, imagined. And on top of that, finding one as stock as possible, was also going to be a good sign. It was a fun weekend car for someone. They took care of it, knew what they had, and it set me up for success going into it, that it had a healthy engine and was taken care of. The maintenance was done on it. And, I'm not gonna sit here and say that these cars don't have their downfalls, because that would just be downright arrogant. But what I will say is that they do have the potential to be a fantastic car for you, especially if you're looking to get into your first rotary powered car. I have taken some precautions to help the longevity of the engine in this specific car. Right now, I've just ticked over 50,000 miles, and I do expect to go for quite a bit longer thanks to the help of the previous ownership and the steps that I've taken on my own since I've owned it. One of the first things I did was install a zone adapter and a support kit for the engine. This was actually a recommendation from a follower of mine, Mike, who has a beautiful RX-8, by the way. You should go give him a follow, put his thing here. He was a huge help in understanding these cars. Basically, what this allowed me to do was swap out the super thin oil in the engine to a heavier oil that's better for the bearings. From the factory, these cars use a pretty lightweight oil because they need to be injected into the rotor housings and burned to provide lubrication for the seals. However, because these things get so hot, and pair that with an already thin oil, it isn't the best for the bearings. It doesn't provide a ton of lubrication. What the zone adapter allowed me to do was essentially bypass the pickup from the oil pan and send it to a remote reservoir that's filled with fresh premix oil. So it's always injecting fresh oil. This also allowed me to swap out the 5W20 for a much heavier 10W40. I also premixed the gas as well, just in case for some reason the oil metering pump decides to go out one day, that there would still be some oil getting injected and lubricating the seals one way or the other. I definitely recommend doing this, as it's put a lot of peace of mind in place for me as an owner of a Rotary RX-8. So I did ask you guys what you wanted to know about the car, or what questions you had about owning an RX-8 or what it's actually like. So I got a couple here, and I think, are some really good questions that I want to answer for you guys and just kind of give some feedback for you. So Jared Hernandez asks, I'm interested in buying an RX-8 as a daily. Is it difficult keeping it reliable? Is it difficult keeping it reliable? No. Like I said, a lot of it, if you're buying a used RX-8, which more than likely you are, it really depends on previous ownership and how well they maintained it and what they did with it and how they treated it and all that sort of stuff, how many miles are on it. The reliability aspect of it for a daily driver isn't really what I would be concerned with, especially right now. It's more like the actual gas mileage and all of the other stuff that goes in, like rotary or owning a rotary engine car. It's that it's gonna get terrible gas mileage. It's got the whole thing where you gotta let it come up to like operating temperature before you shut it off. So you gotta go like a quick, jaunt or something like that. You're gonna have to let it come up to temperature, otherwise you're gonna flood the engine and all that sort of stuff. And at least up here, a rear-wheel drive manual car isn't the best option for winter. Obviously, you're probably not from a place where it snows or anything, but that's something we gotta keep into consideration. So like, can you daily it? Yeah. Would I recommend it? Probably not. It's gonna hurt the wallet a little more than you expect. And not because of the reliability, it's more the gas and the premix and everything else that goes with it. Mark McCumber asks, what sporting mods have you done for reliability? I kind of touched on that, the Sone adapter, 100%. There are some cooling mods you can do too. I know relocating the battery kind of helps cool everything down. The two things that these cars really, really like is have a lot of oil and to keep cool as best as they can. That's gonna help those cars go a long way. So relocating the battery, I think there's a couple things you can move around in there. Getting an aftermarket intake really takes that big stock box out of there. Upgrading your radiator, things like that. Just keep it cool and keep it full of oil. It'll be good. Junga69 asks, I'm an RX-8 owner myself. Do you think is that unreliable as many people said? I mean, the fact of the matter is they're going to wear out a lot sooner than piston engines. It's literally just the way that they were designed. It's like how a rotary engine is going to end up. It's not a matter of if you're going to need a rebuild, it's when you're going to need a rebuild. It's, it's an if-when kind of thing. Reliability wise, if you have good seals, you have good compression, it's not just gonna like randomly break on you one day for the most part. If you keep it like relatively stock, you're not running like a ton of boost on it or something like that, or you got a bunch of weird mods, it's gonna be pretty reliable for you. I mean, it's just a lot of other things that go into it. Kevin Velasquez has a really good question, honestly. He wants to know, what is the aftermarket availability like for the RX-8? For the most part, I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, you got some bigger brands like Canon, you got Greddy, you got Mishimoto, all that stuff that's pretty readily available for these cars. There actually is, I was surprised to find out that there is a good amount of people still making parts for these things. It just more comes down to like what you're looking to do with it. If you're looking to make like a lot of power out of it, you're not gonna have the best of time with like the stock Renesas motor unless you boost it. From the factory, these things came with about as much horsepower as they can get out of that engine. And unless you do like a REW swap or turbo it or something along those lines, you're not gonna have the most fun trying to modify it for power. But handling wise, you can get a lot of like adjustable like suspension components. You can get a ton of like exterior stuff for it. The wheel selection is honestly pretty decent. You can run a big wheel on these cars, and there's a 5x114 bolt pattern, so it makes it super easy. So I mean, overall, it's pretty decent. There's a good amount of coilover selections for it too, so not too bad. It's just you kind of hit that roadblock a little bit of like, if you're looking to get more power or like performance out of it, what do you do? And you're literally left with, okay, you either gotta boost it or you gotta, go get a street port, that kind of stuff, or just swap it in general. But swap it to a rotary, don't swap an LS in it. Nick Atrix10 says, what are a few things to look out for when buying an RX-8? Obviously, number one thing is going to be compression, all right? You're gonna want to have it compression tested. You can't just take like a regular compression tester and slap it on there. You gotta go get an actual like rotary compression tester tool. You can probably bring it to a Mazda dealership or something like that. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but it's something that you absolutely want to know going into buying one of these cars. Because if there's like, one seal going out and it's making low compression on that seal, or one of the housings in general is just like going out, you're gonna wanna know, because otherwise you're gonna have a rebuild in your near future and you're gonna be like, wow, these cars are a piece of shit. So that's number one. Number two, definitely go find a manual. And it's not just like, oh, the manuals are just better because it's a manual. It's like, no, it's better because it's got a better engine in it. The manuals come with a 6-port, the automatics come with a 4-port. So you wanna go find a manual. They come with a little bit stronger engine, a little more power too. So hopping over to Instagram, and post a little thing up there too for you guys to drop your comments in. So let's take a look at that. How much did the maintenance cost? Honestly, I mean, there really wasn't much maintenance due on it. It was literally just kind of the preventive maintenance of the Sone adapter, and that was like a $250 kit all said and done. It was the actual like adapter itself, and then like the custom bracket with the tanks and stuff like that. The only other real maintenance stuff is your oil change. and the bottles of premix. I bought 4 bottles of premix, and that was about like, I can't honestly remember, maybe it was like 60 bucks for those bottles or something like that. So not too bad, honestly. Option Lab wheels. What was the most annoying repair? That's actually a really good one. So I did have to do a repair on it. It wasn't like it broke down or anything, but it was just something that needed to be addressed, especially with obviously rust belt cars. There's an oil cooler line that goes from the block to one of the oil coolers up front. There's 2 oil coolers up front. The one on the driver's side is known that line to like rust out, and it was super, super crusty. And getting that thing out to replace with the new Mishimoto one, by the way, the freaking oil cooler lines, like braided oil cooler lines, are expensive as hell. Like, I could not believe how expensive that was. And that was such a pain in the ass to replace because the spaces were so tight. Like the braided like line was like super thick, so it was like you had to like bend it just the right way, and it wanted to just like go back, and you got these like big bolts and stuff. That was the most annoying. It was super messy. There's oil going everywhere from the old one, and it was like just crusty, and yeah, that sucked. Miles per gallon, question mark, none. Real simple answer. Honestly, I don't know the specifics, but around town, it's definitely terrible. Highway, not so bad. You kind of get it, you know, up into the higher RPMs, and it just sits there, and you're not like on and off the throttle a ton. It's okay. It's better. But around town, I wouldn't bet any more than like 9 or 10. It's pretty bad. Do you use premix every time you fill up on gas? I do, and I would recommend doing it. I think like the race amount like that they suggest is like 8 ounces per tank. I do 4. I don't like want to put a ton in there. Like I said, we got the Sone adapter going. The oil metering pump is obviously working because I have to fill up the reservoir every now and then. But yes, every time I do fill up, I do have a Rotary Bum premix kit. It comes with a nice little container. It's got like a couple bottles, it's got a funnel, and it's got, you know, measurements and stuff like that. You can just fill all those up. You keep them in the car. So 2JZ Gibby, I'm gonna end with this one. Great question. Would you recommend an RX-8? So you have to want it. Like that is going to be the main factor into like having a good time with one of these cars, that you're going to have to want it. You're going to have to want to get into a rotary car. I've always wanted one for some reason. I don't know exactly what it was, if it was, you know, Need for Speed back in the day or what. But I've always wanted an RX-8. And I, you know, for the longest time, I thought I just wanted to jump straight into like an FD RX-7, but obviously with the prices of those just going through the roof, it was kind of out of the question, but like I still really love rotary engines. I love the way they operate. I think they're like, you know, the feat of engineering that's like super neat, like a completely different form of internal combustion engine. I thought that was super cool. So it's like, it's a very low entry cost for someone that's looking to get into rotary cars. And I think that's what makes these cars super, super neat. So if you've always wanted the rotary car, if you know what is involved with doing that, do your research, like kind of like get in that headspace of like, yeah, it's probably going to need a rebuild one day if you hang on to it for a really long time, and you just know that going into it, you're not gonna be disappointed. If you go into it like, oh, I'm gonna make a ton of horsepower, you know, it's gonna be so fast, or it's gonna be super reliable, I'm never gonna have to work on it, you're gonna have a bad time. Like that's just, unfortunately not how these cars work, where I think a lot of like people are like, oh my God, you gotta like build yourself up to like actually accept that like fate of a car. And it's like, in a sense, yeah, but I mean, these Subaru guys do. You guys know you blow transmission engines all the time, and the Subarus are just super popular. So I don't see the difference. But honestly, if you take care of it, it'll take care of you. I think there's a lot of preventive maintenance stuff that you can do. If you are looking to do it, do it. I think you'll have a good time. If it's RX-8 or anything like that is something that you've always wanted, I think it's worth at least going to check one out. I know they're honestly kind of starting to increase on the price a little bit too, so maybe you want to jump on that sooner than later. But I've really enjoyed my 2 years of ownership. I don't have any plans on selling it anytime soon. I really do love driving the car. I just want to say thank you guys so much for all the support with the car, and thank you guys for watching, you know, Fitment Industries, and even on my personal stuff, you know, dropping by, dropping a like and a comment every now and then. I truly appreciate it. And yeah, if you guys have any other questions about rotaries or RX-8, don't be afraid to hit me up. Like I said, there's a lot of you guys that helped me out when I got this car, and I want to be able to help you guys out too with, you know, what I've learned throughout the last few years. So if you guys need some wheels, tires, suspension, or even performance parts for your RX-8 or any other car you have, don't forget to check it out over at fitmentindustries.com. Thank you guys so much. We will see you in the next one.